we're going to discuss about audit principles. So what is audit actually, sir?
This is a basically kind of we are validating.
The different type of audits. Can you just share the viewpoint about different type of audits?
Yeah, so audit can be of three types: first party, second party, and the third party.
So how to become an auditor and what should be the ideal timeline to become an auditor to get a job?
You need to understand how a technology works at a high level.
What is structured learning to become an auditor?
So certification always helps.
Like if someone is want to look for the career in GRC audit, so how can we crack the first job? Yeah.
And they need to understand that domain very well.
If someone want to learn how to conduct an audit, what is the step?
We discuss about the planning, how to do the planning of the audit.
But is it an audit as a sustainable career option if I'm looking for my retirement? How critical is the report formatting? How critical is the language we use in reports?
So language should not be pinpointing to people.
Example?
You cannot say, okay, like this particular guy or this particular team is not working correct.
Hi team, welcome to the session. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Rahul sir. It is really required for me to courage to speak Rahul, but I cannot because he's my guru. Where we're going to discuss about audits, type of audit, and the reality of audit. Now, the benefit of this podcast is basically give you perspective about audit, type of audits, and how really audit works in the industry. And those who are people who are looking for a job in the ITGC or GRC, this video can be an eye opener for them. So please welcome us, Mr. Rahul sir, in this podcast. Rahul sir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Suprabhat.
Hi everyone, and hi Prab. Good morning everyone. People might watch it at any time of day, but it's our morning right now.
Exactly. It is always a morning to learn new things.
Yes. And like I follow like the first hi in the day,
Yeah.
no matter what time it is. I always say good morning.
That
Just
is great.
Savera.
Yeah. So he's just saying every day morning, every day Savera. Yeah. So sir, what is special today? Like, people know about you. You are basically known for the CISO projects, GRC projects, and you are also my guru who helped me to pass my CISSP with Shishi sir also there. If Shishi, you're watching this video, sir, you also helped me to pass this exam in KP also. But primary contributor is Rahul sir. So, sir, what is special today?
Primary contributor is always a learner. If the learner will not invest time and effort, it's the success is not
especially
possible.
Especially the questions which has been asked in our practice session when I used to give a presentation to you. पढ़ाने से डर नहीं लगता, उस बंदे से क्वेश्चन पूछने से डर लगता है. नहीं सर, we'll never
Jokes
forget our
apart,
roots.
thank you so much, and it was really a nice response from the previous session as well. And thank you once again for inviting me. And I hope this session will also be equally useful for your audience. And if they can build the career, they can get a job out of after this. They understand the nitty-gritties of the audit after this. It will be really nice, and it will be really like meaningful effort for us as well.
That's great, sir. So today's session is we are going to discuss about audit, or we're going to discuss about audit principles. So what is audit actually, sir?
So audit is basically this is a basically kind of we are validating how good we are performing, right? And that validation can come in three forms. Right? One is an audit, second is a review, and third is a monitoring.
Okay.
So monitoring is generally defined to be a continuous process. For example, you're performing something, I'm looking at you, and how maybe through systems, through applications, through tools, or maybe just as a human observation. So that's something monitoring is considered to be a continuous thing, and review is like more detailed. For example, you carry out something, and those documents what you are working on, or maybe any transactions, when I have to review and approve them, for example, right? So then it goes for each and every transaction. While the audit is more of a sampling-based exercise, right? We do not look at each and every instance of an activity. We pick up some samples. That samples size can be a very subjective, right? Depending on the nitty-gritties of the audit, how like what is the total size of the transactions what we want to create samples for, and how critical that activity is.
Okay.
Right? So audit is a sampling based exercise which validates how effectively our processes are implemented,
Hmm.
and how effectively our controls are working. That's audit.
Sir, I just want to stop here. I just want to ask you one thing. We are using a lot of technical terms here. Now, there will be some viewers who are completely new to GRC, and for them, the sampling, testing are it's like a bouncer for them, might be.
Yeah.
So, can
Okay.
you just give us one example with that? Can
Yeah.
you explain the audit statement when you said monitoring and all that, and sampling, how to, what is sampling and why we need sampling?
Okay. So sampling is basically, let's say you are doing the audit for the background check process, right?
Okay.
So if there are 100 new joiners,
Hmm.
right? So do not look at the background check report of each and every new joiner. Right? What you'll do is, let's say you pick up the sample of 10%.
Okay.
Out of 100, you'll pick up any random 10 samples and see whether background check is conducted appropriately or not.
How you going to
Right?
tell people?
So that you can pick up any random order, and you cannot, and that random order should be also randomized, not only in terms of sequence, alphabetical order, and it can be like, for example, out of 100 there was 30 managers, 70 executives.
Okay.
Fine. So pick up some samples from the managers group and some from the junior staff group. Right. So
Okay.
then based on that, you identify, okay, whether the managers, you should have the enough assurance
Hmm.
that the activities are being carried out as defined in my process.
Okay.
Right. That's a sampling based exercise. So sampling is like, do not look at each and every instance,
Hmm.
but yes, have an assurance, by looking at few instances, have an assurance that my process is working effectively.
Okay.
That's sampling.
So, when we're talking about the criteria of validations and everything, okay, when you're talking about the requirement of parameter of sampling and all that, so as we using any other formula apart from that, or do we have any industrial metrics we are using, something like that?
No, this is very subjective because, again, criticality of the like process, how
Hmm.
critical the process is, right? And again, sometimes like we may also look into like sampling size depends upon the quantum we have. For example, if your audit has to be completed in 1 week, right, or 5 days,
Hmm.
right,
Hmm.
and you have like 10,000 transactions,
Hmm.
right, you will not go for 10% even, because 10% count to be 1,000 transactions,
Okay.
right? And if you have to complete the entire audit, right, and
Okay.
this is one part of that one area of the complete audit what I am talking about here. So let's say you're doing the ISMS audit, fine, and there
Okay.
are 10,000 staff, and you have to check the background check for all the 10,000 staff. That is not possible.
Okay.
When you pick up a sample of 10%, 1,000 may not be again, depending on the time what you have for the to complete the audit, that may not be again possible. So
Okay.
you may pick up a sample of maybe 50 or 100 staff members and look at if you have the assurance, yes, those samples are all good and there is no discrepancies found. And if there are discrepancies found, then probably we may look for few more samples. Again, when we talk about looking at few more samples, that should not be to find the fault of people. For example, something
Hmm.
is missed, something is a human error. That should not be a fault finding. There should be a fact finding, or that my process is this, and if this is my process. If I look at the samples, I have to make sure that this process is being followed. This process is not failing.
Okay.
Fine. There might be human errors, fine, but that we have to ignore. Fine.
Fine.
Audit findings has to be material.
Okay.
When you talk about materials are means that it should have some substance, like it should give some kind of uh, it should be kind of having a objective is not being met here, right? Should have
Okay.
some assurance of objective being met or objective being not being met.
So somehow
There
it is
should be some
experience matter
element of
here.
risk. Yeah, there should be some element of risk you see, right? That is again coming out to be the material finding. So
Okay.
some element of risk you see is being mitigated, or is being the risk being there which remains unaddressed or unidentified.
Okay.
right? So when we talk about again the risk, we also have to see the cost benefit, right?
Hmm.
So what we are expecting out of the process, is it cost? It is like cost effective or not? Right?
Understood.
All these things together makes the finding as a material finding.
Okay. So, sir, like, what are the, like, we talk about audits and all that. So there's always a misconception about the different type of audits. Can you just share the viewpoint about the different type of audits?
Yeah, so audit can be of three types: first party, second party, and the third party. So first party means that organization is doing audit for themselves,
Hmm.
and so they may be a separate internal audit group,
Hmm.
or they may be like some virtual group,
Hmm.
right? Which like there's SMEs who understand, who may have some primary responsibilities uh, different than the audit. But yes, whenever there's an audit cycle, maybe once in 6 months, once in a quarter, or maybe like once in a year, so they might perform the audit for the organization.
Okay.
So it doesn't need to be a dedicated group for the audit,
Hmm.
and it can be the people who have some other responsibilities. They're also equipped with the knowledge and skills to conduct the audit. So,
Okay.
but yes, when we are conducting audit for ourselves, that is the first party audit. Means the organization does the audit for themselves.
Okay.
So that's more like, that's commonly also called as an internal audit.
Okay.
Then second party audit is you're providing some services to your customers, and the customer is paying you for it. When you have a commercial engagement with that, the other company, and that
Hmm.
company want to make sure that you are following the controls as defined in the master service agreement or the contract.
So it's like more like a vendor audits.
It is like a customer audit or vendor
Okay.
audit, right? So
Okay.
that is because it's a, like one is a vendor, other party is a customer,
Okay.
right? So that is called as a second party audit, because we
Okay.
have a relationship with them, fine, and this audit is coming out of that commercial relationship
Okay.
between the two companies. So that's the second party. Well, the third party is generally considered to be a independent audit. Means
Okay.
I I do not belong, or maybe the entity is conducting an audit doesn't have a commercial engagement with the organization. Fine. So they don't have any influence of reporting something with some biasness.
Okay.
Fine. So that's a third party audit. So certification audits, generally when you go for ISO 27001, ISO 22301, even 9001, and so when you go for certifications, so that certification audits are considered to be a third party audit.
Okay.
Those are independent audits.
Great. So, sir, like, when you're talking about how can we decide, like, we know that the first party is your internal audit, which is auditing the all the functions and providing an independent report to the board. Second party audit, when you're auditing a vendors, and third party audits are regulatory and all that. So, is the steps are also different, or do we follow the same steps?
So more or less, if you look at the the crux of the audit will remain same.
Hmm.
Initial engagement will be different. Fine.
Okay.
If it is internal audit, you can simply send a calendar invite,
Okay.
fine, and give them the agenda of the meeting. It can be in
Hmm.
multiple pieces. For example,
Hmm.
you do one control at a time. But
Okay.
when you are engaging a kind of a, when external bodies are coming, fine,
Hmm.
maybe a customer or maybe a third party, then
Hmm.
you have to plan for the entire like activity, fine, so that
Understood.
it cannot be okay. We are coming here for doing one audit for 1 hour and then again going back. We'll come after 1 week.
Hmm.
That's practically not possible.
Hmm.
But internal audit can be done that way. Fine,
So
okay,
is it
I
possible? Can we have one use case of one internal audit with a sample, with the example and to-end process?
Yes. So even it is internal or external, fine.
Hmm.
Only the engagement part is different because you have to.
Okay.
If it is a customer audit, customer will give you a notice as
Hmm.
per the contract. There may
Hmm.
be 7 days, 15 days, 30 days notice that we are coming for the audit.
Hmm.
They will give you like the content. You will mutually agree on certain dates and times, fine, and the locations. So then from there the process will start. And
Okay.
if it is a certification audit, again, you will first evaluate which certification body you want to go for. And again, same process. They will also give you the time. You will mutually agree on certain date, time, location where they will come for the audit. If
Okay.
it is internal, then also you have to look at the stakeholders' availability. Right? The function you want to audit, they mean if they have time. Fine, and you have to respect the business as well, business priorities as well. So
Okay.
again, after we agree upon mutually date, time, location, we can start with the audit. So in
Okay.
all the three cases, we have to look at the availability, and both parties should be comfortable on the date, time, and location when we can initiate the audit process.
Okay.
So
So
that's
if
basically like kind of a planning of the audit, right? So when we
okay.
plan for the audit, so there are things we have to make sure, right? So what are the things we have to make sure, right? When you're planning audit, there are dependencies, right, on the scope of the audit, how big the scope is, right? So if the scope is very big, and if we have a challenges in the stakeholders availability, that audit may like cross the limits of the, like, for example, we are doing the annual audit, right?
Hmm.
And that annual audit is to be done, example, right? So if the scope is very big and we have too many dependencies on the stakeholders availability, that we may not be able to finish in 1 month time, and
Hmm.
so we have to plan it in different way then.
Hmm.
And also it depends upon the number of locations we have to cover. If there's a multinational organization, right, so we may have the offices in different countries, and we have to there's a one audit team which is covering doing the audit for all the locations. Then you have to look at the logistics, right? And again, availabilities, travel time, and if the visas are required, all that you have to plan in advance.
Hmm. So my question is like, if you take a one walkthrough of internal audit step by step, because it can be benefit for the people who watching that podcast, and might be it can be useful for their job interviews also. So practically, if
Mhm.
I say like we say in ISMS, we say we do first scoping, then we do gap assessment and all that. Okay, we are very clear with about external audit, sorry, third party audit. But when it comes to internal audit, they have their own IA standards and all that. So what is your recommendation? Like, what is the concept of keep it simple we can keep in this practice to perform the internal audit? If you can explain us with the one walkthrough of the one example.
Okay. So before we move to like differentiating internal versus external, when there
Hmm.
are certain kind of nitty-gritties of the audit planning that we have to look into.
Hmm.
So whenever we talk about the audit should have a set objective,
Hmm.
right? So objective can be in this case certification, fine, and for the second part it can be contract compliance, fine. For the internal, it can be the policy compliance as well, right? Or if there's any regulatory requirements of the organization, they want to have internal audit to make sure that the regulatory requirements are being met, so that if there is an external audit, so they are ready for it.
Okay.
So first is the objective, right? So there are three elements which we have to make sure that that is very clear, right? When we talk about when we are going to conduct an audit. First is the
Okay.
objective. What are the objective of the audit is? Second is the scope. I mean, how, like, what are business units, what are locations we are covering in this scope, and third is the criteria. Criteria means a set of requirements against which we will evaluate any business function.
Okay.
And so these are the called as like essential elements of an audit, right? So objective, scope, and criteria. Once this is finalized, then only we can go for the planning.
Okay.
Right? So now it comes to like if it is I hope this objective, scope, and criteria is all like I have able to clearly articulate. Objective is why we are conducting this audit. Scope is what business functions and locations we are covering this audit, and criteria is from where the requirements are coming. And the
Okay.
requirement can be coming from the standard, for example, 27001. It can be PCI DSS. It can
Hmm.
be GDPR as a regulatory body, as a regulatory requirement. And it can be a contract compliance when we have the maybe want to see how well we comply with the requirements of a customer.
Okay.
Right? Scope is you will start looking at the availabilities. You will start making communication. Okay, that we have
Hmm.
to plan for the audit. Right?
Hmm.
So when we say the plan for the audit, we have to look at we'll make a communication. We'll send a notifications about again this objective, scope, and criteria, and look for the, if it is internal, we can request the time. Fine. If it is external, then again the engagement goes in slightly different way.
Hmm.
In there, the stakeholders, internal stakeholders who are managing this external audit, fine. So they will send a notification that these are like, for example, within the month of March, for example, we have to go for the audit, fine, and we are planning the second week. So make sure you are available or somebody from your team is available. So we can send some a notification, because then we don't have flexibility of okay, we can come when you are available. But in the internal audit, if we look for example, we are going to conduct an audit for the HR, we can look for the availability. They might be available in the first half, second half, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever. We can
Hmm.
plan accordingly. So once we send that invite that yes, this is the date, time, place we will be coming in for the audit, then at that time, at that moment, the audit proceeds basically. Right? This is
Okay.
the how we plan basically.
Okay.
So apart from that planning part, right, rest of the process for conducting a internal audit or external audit remains same.
Okay. And when it comes to the uh, uh, audit perspective and all that, we if we're taking one common context of ITGC audit nowadays, in the
Mhm.
Big Four, they talk about the SOX. So can you share me any use case of ITGC audit? How we can plan ITGC audit also?
Same, the planning will remain same, but
Hmm.
yes, when it comes to the looking at the details of the audit, for
Hmm.
example,
Hmm.
how to conduct the audit or what are the
Hmm.
things we'll look for in the audit.
Hmm.
So there are three different dimensions of the audit, I will say.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we talk about the intent.
Hmm.
When intent means the process is defined, fine, and is documented. So that shows, and it is approved by the management. So that shows the management intent that they want these activities to be carried out in this way.
Okay.
Right? But they have a policy. The policy sets a requirement. So it means the
Hmm.
management has an intent that they want to have these controls in place. Fine. So if, for example, you want to have you want to see in the PCI, you require the encryption
Hmm.
of the credit card data.
Yeah.
So that is not defined in the policy itself, and that is not implemented as well.
Hmm.
Fine. So it's not an implementation failure; it's a failure in the intent because that has not
Hmm.
been defined as a requirement in the organization.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. So audit is conducted at in these three dimensions. One is the intent is defined. That means the controls are documented, processes are documented, and that clear instructions are given to the staff what is to be carried out, how it is to be carried out.
Okay.
Second is that implementation of that process or the control is in place. And for example, again, the encryption of that CHD, cardholder data.
Hmm.
So if it is defined in the policy, defined in the process, but not implemented, so that means it is failing at the implementation level, by not failing at the documentation level, the intent level.
Agree.
And third can be like if it is implemented as well, but the implementation is not effective.
Hmm.
Right. So third is how effective the implementation is. So audit is done in these three dimensions, three levels we can say. One is we look at whether the organization has defined those controls. Second is the organization has implemented those controls, and third is those controls are effectively working.
Okay.
Fine. So to look to do the audit, fine, we look for three types of evidences.
Okay.
Again, first is a documentation of policy procedures.
Okay. Three
Fine.
type of evidence.
Second is we have the interviews with people.
Okay.
Fine. For example, someone who is carrying out a backup, fine, we'll talk to them. Okay, how do you perform the backup? Fine. What is the frequency? From where you're receiving the requirement? Fine. If it fails, how do you monitor if it is failing? And if it has failed, how do you make sure that any corrections are made? Fine. Or any improvements are made that it doesn't fail next time. So that's the
Okay.
interview. So people will talk about how they're performing the things, fine, and that also serves as a evidence of the audit.
Okay.
And third is the observations. When you see, okay, people are tailgating, and
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing yourself, or when you say, okay, show me the dashboard of the antivirus, fine, and it says, okay, 50% of the alerts are not being addressed, and critical alerts are not being addressed,
Hmm.
and for maybe past 1 week. So that shows, yes, the control is in place, but the output of the control is not being monitored. Fine, nobody is taking action. So audit evidences, there's a first control is defined, and then how well it is defined. Second is it is implemented, so that you look at the observations, fine, you see how the controls are implemented, and when you see the gaps, or maybe you want to have explore more about how they are managing the controls, you can ask questions from the people. That's also serves as evidence.
Okay. And so when you're talking about the audit parts and all that, what do you think? What is the biggest challenge you have seen when you do any audits and all that, and how you overcome that?
So there are two major challenges, what I will say. One is the knowledge of the auditor,
Hmm.
and second is like auditors are always seen as a like negative people trying to find the fault.
Hmm.
And so that comfort you have to give, which is very easy in internal. If you're an internal auditor, and that's very easy. You can make people understand that you are here to help them.
Okay.
Fine. So any audit exercise should be seen as an improvement, it is
Good
being done
point.
for the improvement, to bring
Agree.
out the improvement in the process. Fine.
Agree.
And whenever we work in the operations, fine, every single position has their own challenges. So our mind also works in a like certain way. Find what is coming as a top priority, fine, and we keep working on it. So some of the things are sidelined. So a independent perspective is important to improve that process, fine, to
Okay.
bring the focus on what is critical for the business, not critical for your manager. Fine.
Hmm.
Sometimes people just follow the manager. Okay, manager has said this, I have to do this. Fine.
Agree.
So that might be jeopardizing the critical things. Fine, but we have to actually carry it out for the business.
Good point.
And so that independent perspective is important to bring in at that point of time. And the more regular internal audits you have, the better your process will be. Fine. And audit should not be focused on finding a fault. It should be focused on finding the fact that how
And improve the
effective
process.
and ineffective, yes, the implementation of the control is. And
Hmm.
the focus should be only on the improvement process. And it also depends upon the style of questions the auditor is asking.
Yeah.
Fine.
But
It should not
it
be
is
like,
same like it is same like in a perspective of people say, okay, after the marriage, if partner asks some question, we always think in negative manner. It is there for improvement, right? So so if any question has been asked, why you ask, instead of say, what is the reason of asking this, right?
yeah.
So same
And
like,
if you find certain issues in implementations, like it goes in every aspect of life, fine. If you find certain issues in any point in any relationship, fine, whether it's an auditor relationship, manager subordinate relationship, or the husband wife relationship. So we have to look for the solutions. Fine. Don't report everything as a problem.
hmm,
Fine. Report like try to find a solution, help people resolve the problems. That's
hmm.
the value, like because you are the SME. Fine. If I am coming for auditing based on the requirements of certain standard or the regulatory requirement, I am a SME. Fine. People don't want to see the problems. Even the management don't want to see the problems. Fine. If you just report this is a problem, fine. People will not like it. Fine. Help them in resolving the problem. Help them in
Hmm.
understanding the requirement. Then
Hmm.
you will build a better relationship
Hmm.
within the organization and within any dimension of life.
So, sir, like, you said about the first challenge is about knowledge. Now, there's a lot of scam happening in the social media that, okay, uh, if you want to become an auditor, do this certification or that certification. So, I want to ask you, because you have experience, you started your stuff from the system administrations and then you moved to security, then now you are into GRC. Now, as a human being, if someone want to do the transition to become an auditor, sir, I want a precise data because there's a lot of data is there. So I'm asking your practical experiences. If someone want to become an auditor, and he's a non-IT background, so how to become an auditor and what should be the ideal timeline to become a auditor to get a job?
Okay, when you say the non-IT background, I understand it in two different ways. One is non-IT means I may not know like how to manage a mail server today.
Hmm.
Fine, I used to do
Hmm.
this maybe 15 years back.
Yeah.
Right. So that is not expected even. You don't have to carry out anything yourself. You need to
Hmm.
understand how a technology works at a high level.
Okay.
Fine. And the nitty-gritty is at very like the purpose of a particular technology. For example,
Hmm.
antivirus. Why there is antivirus? Fine. To a high level, you have to understand this. We don't want to know how to install the antivirus, how to configure the antivirus. Fine. We should be able, and when you're conducting audit, there's always a control statement. fine, and that we look at. So the control statement might be, for example, let's take a very non-technical example, the policy.
Hmm.
The policy has to be documented, approved by the management, communicated, and acknowledged.
Hmm.
Right. So this is given in the statement itself. So we have to check four things now. But is there a
Okay.
document available? Is the document approved by the management? Is this policy, is the communication is being made in the organization? And fourth, have people acknowledged? When do we have evidence of acknowledgement? So
Okay.
this doesn't require any technical skills. Right. Yes, if we talk about the technical controls like encryption and all, not everyone, because the audit, when we conduct the audit in the any of these domains, right, the
Hmm.
GRC domains,
Hmm.
we look at physical security, people security, right, technical security, supplier security, and there are lot of stuff, well, right, covers A to Z of the organization. Neither, like, one person can be HR expert, a physical security expert, right, an application security expert, and the infrastructure security expert. And one cannot, you cannot expect one should know everything, but should
Agree.
understand the basics of everything,
Agree.
and should know the controls requirement very well. Because if you are conducting an audit where you don't have the knowledge of that particular domain, you are not a, you cannot do the audit. You have to have a knowledge. Fine, you may not be knowing the technically how to operate, how to implement, but if you don't even know why the control is being recommended, then you cannot even ask the right question from the auditee.
So your perspective is like, okay, we should know how high level technology your system works, right? Or
Yes.
the viewpoint is there. So with the continuation of the question, like, what is structured learning to become an auditor? There should be some structured
One more,
learning, right?
yeah, before we move to that, one more example I would want to give, and that will answer some part of this question as well.
Hmm.
For example, an organization is pushing the patches through the Microsoft System Center,
Hmm.
right? So, as the auditor, you may not know how System Center works, right? But you know what the objective of this control is, this
Hmm.
technology is.
Hmm.
So, you should be able to only validate that yes, how the patches are being received in the system, how the patches are pushed from this system to the servers and workstations,
Okay.
and how do you make sure that those implementation of those patches is being done at the end at the servers and workstations. If this much you know, you can do the audit. You don't need to know how to configure SCCM, how to create the packages, how to get the updates, how to push the updates, or how to schedule it. Those things you don't have to understand.
But
So
but there
this
will
is
be some but there should be some baseline learning required. Like, okay, like if I want to become a security, I'm starting with Security Plus, which give me structured learning. So do you have any recommendation from that point? I'm not saying to go for the certification, but any structured learning. Because audit is very dynamic,
certification.
sir. Like, no, audit is very dynamic. In IT we
Mhm.
have so many things. Okay, so that's basically my viewpoint. Like, okay, if we go for some kind of a perspective and all that, so what is your viewpoint from that point of view? Like,
Hmm. So certification always helps, and if you have the other supporting certifications like Security Plus, CISSP, CISA, CISM, that really helps.
hmm,
But that is not a necessity to gather the knowledge. Fine. For example, if you are taking connecting audit for the 27001,
hmm,
so 27001 lists down all the requirements, right? And they have the associated standard 27002, which defines the details of those controls and extra controls,
okay,
which has each and every aspect of those controls defined. If one have that sufficient knowledge that it can read and understand that, that is sufficient. If it is not, if that understanding is not there, then they have to definitely start from the different angles, maybe Security Plus or maybe some other courses they have to do. But because the standards are defined in detail, the controls are also like explained what is expected. And if
hmm,
that much, if someone is very new to IT industry, definitely they cannot do the audit for the IT. But
okay,
someone understands IT industry, someone understands how the infrastructure works, has a high level understanding, then sufficient knowledge is given in the standards.
okay,
Fine. Remaining, they should have the mindset of conducting audit. Fine.
okay,
So I may not know everything, Fine, you may not know everything, but we should be able to ask the right questions so that we can understand those things.
Okay.
Fine. New technologies, and IT is very kind of very dynamic industry. Fine. New technologies keeps introducing in the market. Fine. AI is coming now. Some tools built on AI is coming. Fine.
Hmm.
So we cannot be like keep ourselves like to the top of the line, having knowledge on everything equally. Fine. But yes, from the audit's perspective, what are the things we have to look into is first is again there's a intent, means again the documentation is there. What are the steps written in documentation, or what are the requirements written in documentation, process written in documentation, that we have to ask the questions about.
Okay.
And so that questions what we ask is we look at the execution. For example, if it is given uh, let's say when a new user account is created, when you it is written that you will take approval from the manager.
Hmm.
When you see, okay, whether how you take the interview, the approval from the manager. The team might be taking interviews over the ticketing system, or
Hmm.
might be through the email, right? Or maybe there may be a paper form, right? So you have to see whether that step defined in the process is being executed or not. You don't need to be technical in this case, right?
Agree.
Then third is you will ask themselves, okay, how do you make sure that your team is performing all these steps appropriately?
Hmm.
Right? So they should have their own internal checks. They should have some measurements, some reviews they do internally. Right? That they make sure that their process is working right. They're not dependent on an external, like external means like someone out of their team to come and do the audit or review. The
True.
manager's responsibility is to make sure that all the activities in his team is going correctly, is being implemented or being executed correctly.
True.
Right? So what is the checks and balances or manager is putting in place to make sure all these activities are being carried out? That you can look at. Then how that manager or the team makes sure that the result is achieved of that particular activity. Fine. For example, in IT ticketing system, people measure the SLA month on month basis or week on week basis.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In a small organization, they might be doing quarterly, and
Hmm.
depending on the quantum again.
Hmm.
So that is a, like how do we identify, how do we measure that we are able to achieve our results?
Okay.
And if results are not being achieved, and what are they doing about it?
Hmm.
Have they planned any improvements? Fine. These are the like for the auditors, you have to look at these 5 steps:
Okay.
intent, execution, review, result, and action. Fine. That can make you be able to perform the audit of any particular control
Okay.
if you have this mindset. Because if you don't know, if you don't understand, you'll ask questions. If you can ask questions in this order, okay, what is the requirement, what is the requirement, how it is written, and how do you communicate the requirement to your team, then how your team is performing it. So how do you review the performance, the team performing the any action is being done correctly, then how do you see if the result is achieved or not, fine, and then what the action you take if the results are not being achieved. And these 5 steps will cover anything and everything, any controls you can audit.
And sir, like when it comes to the audit perspective, if someone is looking to crack the first job, so how to get a first job um in a GRC audit? Like if someone is want to look for the career in GRC audit, so how can we crack the first job? Yeah.
So again, which uh, the kind of domain they want to get into. For example,
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity, business continuity, data privacy,
Hmm.
kind of service management, and they need to
Hmm.
understand that domain very well.
Okay.
Because you are going to conduct an audit, and you need to understand how this uh, kind of domain,
Hmm.
what are the specifics of this domain.
Hmm.
Fine. You should understand, if it is cybersecurity, you should understand cybersecurity processes, controls end to end.
Hmm.
May not be the practical implementation of it, but if you don't even know that there's something called patching, there's something called capacity management, there's something called configuration management, if you don't even understand that, you're not fit for the job. Fine. But if you understand, yes, these are the controls that should be in place in this particular
Hmm.
domain,
Hmm.
fine, you're good enough. And if you can go for the certification of the lead auditor or auditor, internal auditor, and fair enough.
That's great. So, sir, like when it comes to requirement of implementation, learning, and everything, how do you see the audit as a career, and what do you see, like, as the emerging technologies there, like AI, data privacy, advanced computing, and all that? So, how do you see that auditor has to upgrade his knowledge? Like, does he need to involve in, add some new elements to the learning, or can we go for something a traditional way of doing an audit?
So the method of the audit will remain same,
Hmm.
but yes, any new developments of the industry, even the if you're working in the industry as a kind of a administrator or developer, you need to know,
Hmm.
and as auditor also you need to know.
Okay.
When any new developments, you have to keep yourself like updated with the developments in the industry.
Hmm.
Fine. And from the auditor perspective, like you also may need to understand the recent threats and the exposures. Fine. So you can ask questions. Okay, this particular vulnerability was discovered. Okay, was there any impact on your organization?
Hmm.
Fine. Okay, then how you dealt with that particular threat.
Hmm.
Fine. So that type of questions you can ask.
Okay.
And so if you are updated with that knowledge, then we can ask the right questions.
Okay.
Audit
And
is a kind of a second level career, not a
hmm.
first level career. Fine, you need to first know the industry. You need to
Okay.
first have some experience in the industry. Then only you can look for the like making your career as auditor. Because if you are going as a fresher,
Hmm.
you don't know how the thing
Very good
works, then
point.
you will not be able to put the right questions. Fine. It's don't if somebody is looking for the career as an auditor, fine. In the technical domains, particularly, I will say like not the right start point.
Very good point. And if I'm going to post this clip, there will be a lot of scholars going to put on comment on this, but it's a but hard and fact
Yes,
things.
but this is practical.
Yeah, it's the same like you if you know how to cook food, then only you know the smell of the like if you want to audit someone's food, you should know the smell of the food. If you're going to eat first time, you don't know what is the taste, right? So same like
Yes,
with process audits also. Until unless you don't know, like change management has a sequences, and this is the step by step process. You can't do the audit because you need to have the
you try
quality.
cooking something, but you have tasted.
Exactly.
You can validate. Yes, this is the right taste or not.
Agree. 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 So, sir, but last thing I want to ask you is, but is it an audit as a sustainable career option if I'm looking for my retirement?
It is a very good option for the retirement because
Okay.
later in the your professional journey, fine, you have enough knowledge, enough maturity,
Uh,
fine, to work as auditor.
okay.
Fine. And because there are organizations will look for the freelancers, like kind of independent auditors,
Hmm.
and you have lots of opportunities in the market to work as independent auditors.
Okay.
And I see this as a retirement plan, fine, and many people adopt this as a retirement plan. Many people, after retiring from a full-time job, they become auditor. Right. So this is there are many retired people who enter into the audit field after retirement because they can work for maybe 2 3 days in a week, and
Hmm.
they can still get a handsome income. And see, retirement is not sitting idle at home. Right? You will keep doing something. Fine. So,
Agree.
and but you do it at your own will. Fine. You're not in a pressure that morning 9 o'clock you have to be in the office.
Hmm.
When you may decide your own, okay, these 3 days I will work. Yes, when I work, I will go at 9 o'clock in the office, but I can decide, okay, I will want to work only 2 days in a week. So you are engaged, you're earning, and you're also like having like your free time for yourself and the family.
That's why I was, like when you're talking about a lot of people say, okay, if you're looking, people are saying that, okay, Prab, I don't want to do no operational jobs and all that, it's like 7 days working. We cannot predict. Okay. So that's why I thought I will ask you this, like how this career can be like, do we have
It's a very
a
good
career
career for,
perspective? Hmm.
yes, for later in life, because you can make a like good income after
Hmm.
retirement as well as auditor.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, like I just want to understand one important thing is that if someone want to learn how to conduct an audit, so what is the steps in
Okay,
detail?
so
Yeah.
when it comes to like conducting an audit, fine, from the kind of the audit on the audit day itself, fine. So we discuss about the planning, how do we do the planning of the audit, fine. We schedule the audit and all that stuff. Then on the audit day, we start with the opening meeting.
Okay.
Right. So a opening meeting is again, it can be a formal if it is external audit. Find that everyone, all the auditees and auditors are in a one room, and we talk about some other audit. And in a if it is internal audit, fine, it can be one to one because there you are going to conduct audit for a particular function.
Okay.
Fine. So it can be like the external audits are more formalized, internal audits are more informal. Fine, in terms of the opening meeting, closing meeting stuff. Fine.
Okay.
So for any particular, take the audit as a project. And whenever you go for the project, you have a project kickoff meeting. Same is in the terms of audits, it's a opening meeting. In the
Okay.
opening meeting, we talk about why we are here.
Hmm.
Fine, we are here for the audit. Fine. So we want to make sure that everyone in the room, fine, is on the same page in terms of what the objective of the audit is, what the scope of the audit is, what the criteria of the audit is, and what is the schedule of the audit. Schedule means in the first half we'll do the audit for the ISMS, maybe in the second half we'll do for the HR. If there are multiple auditors, which auditor will work with which team at what date, what time.
Okay.
And what time we'll again gather, maybe have a lunch together. What time the auditors will sync up, maybe 30 minutes or 60 minutes in the evening after every auditor has uh, done for the day, and they kind of give the heads up to the lead auditor.
Okay.
Find that what are the findings of the day, observations of the day. Then that's the audit schedule basically. So in the opening meeting, the purpose of the opening meeting is to have a clear communication about again audit objective, scope, and criteria. Fine, and uh, be clear and be on the kind of the schedule so that the stakeholders can make sure they are available or somebody on their behalf is available.
Okay.
And we also communicate what will be our audit approach. And approach again is a kind of a intent, implementation, and effectiveness. Fine. What will be the audit language, audit channels, fine, the communication channels and all that can also be covered.
Okay.
Again, it's particularly if you are going to the audit where like your mother tongue is not the language which is spoken there, then you have to make sure that they arrange the people who can communicate with you. And if that conversation is not possible, you will not be able to conduct the audit. Fine. We also emphasize on the confidentiality that anything what we gather, what we understand, what we learn, the auditors learn on site, and that will remain confidential. And then we
Okay.
can open the room for any question answers. That's how the opening meeting is conducted.
Okay.
Then when it comes to carrying out the audit, fine, you will have your own checklist. Fine. So that again, like coming out to be there, like you have the questions about how a person can do the audit. I only pointed out, okay, that their controls says everything. The policy need to be documented, approved, communicated, and acknowledged. Fine. But this is one control. And there are definitely like hundreds of controls that you audit against. So those controls should be distributed among the audit team. For example, there are three auditors, right? So there's one guy might be having a better understanding of the technical controls. So we'll give all the technical controls he will be auditing. Other non-technical, maybe physical security, HR, and the supplier security can be connected by the other auditors. So that's why you can also mix and match the knowledge and domain of the audit.
Okay.
Then those checklists need to be there, right, against which you will conduct the audit. Then auditor should also be making the audit notes, right? And once the audit is completed, whatever observations and findings are, right, each and every observation and finding has to be on paper, right?
Okay.
Auditor's job should also be auditable,
Okay.
right? So, and this is the requirement for certification audits as well. So, any audit you conduct, you have to conduct the audit in a way that you capture the references to the documents, references to the people, when date, time, location, that what as evidence which was looked into to make this opinion.
Example, an example, can you correlate this?
Probably I can show you some of the sample sheets what we use, and again, don't take it as it is, because some of them are quite fancy and quite detailed.
Hmm.
Fine, and some of them are like, I will show you all the different varieties. Fine, you
Okay.
can go to the kind of very detailed sheets as well. You can have a very simplistic approach as well.
Hmm.
So let me share my screen. So this is one sample, like where we have some element of automation, and it is very detailed,
Hmm.
fine, and we are auditing against the compliance as well as maturity,
Hmm.
fine. So this may look very complicated to the beginners, fine. So, but yes, this is the beauty of the audit manager, like how what tools basically they provide to their team. As a beginner, you will not be like on your own, fine. You will definitely start with like kind of as a support in the audit
Mhm.
team.
Mhm.
So there we have the different domains. For example, let's pick up the domain of HR, fine. So what are the controls we have for HR? Let's say like this is about screening, find the background verification of all candidates, fine, to be done. So who is the auditor here? We need to capture the name of the person, fine. Then audit notes, what your observations are, fine. Any references, if they're showing the policy or procedure or document, you have to show, like you have to write down, okay, that this is the HR policy, fine, version 3.2, for example, fine. Then how do you find the document was like adequate, inadequate, fine. It was partially covering the requirements of, it is not even, you could not see the evidence, fine. Document was not there, fine. So that way you can give the ratings. And how well that you find the implementation. If the process says that the background check has to be conducted within 30 days, fine,
Mhm.
or 30 days is too long basically. Um, Fine. So maybe like whatever the specifics are, and depending on the organization, you have to see whether it is partially achieved, fully achieved. Fine. Based on that, you can create your own kind of this. You can fill up the sheets basically.
ठीक है.
Fine. And you can also fill up the how mature the process is at the ML3 level, ML4 level, ML5 level. And once you fill up these sheets, you will see the scores in the dashboard will change,
Sir,
and it will also keep
the,
telling
the,
you.
the control, sorry to interrupt here, the controls that you have taken as a reference point, it is based on
Mhm.
ISO 27001 or
This
what
is
is
another
it?
one. If you look at the top of the sheet, this is 27,001.
Okay. So you have taken the control benchmark from 27001.
Yeah. This is entirely what the 27,001 says.
Okay. Yeah.
Just a copy paste of, we can say, that control.
Okay. We can take in from an extra.
Yes.
Okay.
Fine. And it starts with the like clause 4 to clause 10. If you look at the context of the organization,
Mhm.
fine, understanding the international parties and their expectations and
Mhm.
the scope and all. And it's nothing but the 27,001 basically.
Okay. But in
So you will
ITGC
keep.
also we can same benchmark.
Yes, yes, yes. See,
Okay.
ITGC is like every single framework defines the controls. You can pick up the controls, and more or less the controls has the same like kind of intent.
Okay.
Fine. So this is one example. So where we are auditing for the maturity as well as compliance. So
Mm.
this is another example, a more simplistic version where we
Mm.
are talking about only the kind of, again, this is 27,001.
Mhm.
Fine. Again, the auditee, who is the auditee here? What are the audit notes? Any references? Fine. And what is your opinion about it? Whether the implementation has a conformity, requires improvement, is there any observations, or there is non-conformity? And you
Okay.
can have that, and based on that, it will populate the dashboard. And this dashboard clearly you can from copy here and paste in the audit report as well as in the closing meeting. Then
How long it take you to build this dashboard?
oh, this is not a like one day work. So if you look at this one, like probably this would have taken like, it is a version 4 of my sheet basically.
Hmm.
So it has matured over time.
No, but I'm talking about the graphical formula integrations and all that.
That like that doesn't take much time, because if you understand Excel, fine, that doesn't
Hmm.
take much time.
So do you have any
And
video reference that who like, if some, definitely, because when you're working in the audit side and all that, you should be good with Excel also, right?
no,
Because
that's what my point was. The third sheet I was showing, if that looks very complicated to you, you can have the audit worksheet as simple as this as well.
hmm,
Fine, where you only have the audit reference, for example, a client or the like any engagement reference, objective, scope, criteria you define, then date, time, and location of the audit you're conducting. You're conducting auditing for example, HR. Fine, who is the auditor, who is auditee, what is the control area you're auditing, what is the control
hmm,
ID you're auditing. Fine, then
hmm,
you can just pick up the audit notes and give the reference. This reference is very important
hmm,
because without putting the references from where you're forming this opinion, fine, your audit is not auditable.
understood.
Fine. So this is how we create the check. So again, this is just an audit notes. Fine. So this is a combination of audit notes as well as the checklist.
Okay.
Fine. And this is basically when we are conducting audit for the compliance as well as maturity. Fine. So this is
Okay.
having more elements. And the way I have built this sheet is you can have multiple standards integrated into this basically. So at
Okay.
the end, we have the references to multiple standards. So starting is the 27001, and then we can add more standards as well. So this is again is a one part of a larger sheet I have.
Okay. And sir, when you're talking about the requirement of integrations and everything, okay. So one thing we need to understand is how we validate that. So if you take that context, if you take that reference, so audit
Mhm.
sheets and all that. So what is the experience is required when it comes to the audit sheet?
See, you need to understand, you should need to have some experience to build this audit checklist.
Mm-hmm.
Without having experience, it's again, if you just copy paste the controls, fine, I can do this because I understand the nitty-gritties of the control.
Hmm.
Fine, but it may not be like for the junior staff, you may want to give them the specific questions.
Hmm. I agree.
Fine. For example, is the policy documented? Is the policy approved by management?
Hmm.
Is the policy communicated? Is the policy published or located at a common location where people can refer to? Fine. Is the policy being acknowledged? Is the policy communication made at least once in a year? Fine. Is the policy acknowledged being made once in a year? Fine. That type of detailed questions you can put. So it
Understood.
depends upon the like to whom you're for whom you're getting the this checklist. You will put in the details accordingly.
Okay. That was why my question is, creating a checklist is always a challenge. So it is
So
always a
if
pain, sir.
yeah, for the beginners will not be expected to create a checklist.
Uh,
Beginners would be expected to follow the checklist.
understood.
Fine. And my perspective of showing these three levels for like you can have as detailed as this one. This is intermediate, fine, and this is very simplistic. So if you have
Understood.
nothing, you can have your notes written this way as well. And all the three are valid, accepted standards in the industry.
Okay. And sir, when I talk about the key areas that we consider about audit workbook and all that. So apart from that, do we need to include anything else, data and all that?
No, you'll have this. So after you conduct the audit, you fill up the sheets. You come up with some conclusion with like how many conformities, non-conformities are there. For example, here it is these many five conformities for ISM for information security, four portions of improvement, six observations, seven non-conformities. Fine. So
Mm,
this once you come up with this, you have to put this into the closing meeting and the report.
okay.
Fine. This is all just a dummy data because the sheet is blank. Just to populate the dashboard. If I'll make it blank, the dashboard will also go. If I just remove
Okay.
this,
And
it will
and,
have the
and if
information.
some if someone want to learn this dashboard, okay, definitely Excel sheet is required. But
There
ideally,
are
how much?
many Excel training videos available on YouTube.
Uh, because
You
that is
need to
also
have some picture in mind. Okay, what you want to create. Then your creativity begins with that imagination.
understood. That
And
that was
so,
my question, because having that
mm,
integration part and all that now. So this dashboard is a really like because I have seen in GRC the most important part is Documentation, how you
How do
create
you
it.
present? Yeah, how do you present?
So that was the perspective.
How do you present? And I created this dashboard in a way that we should also know that how far we have completed. For example, we answered only one control in HR domain, so HR
Hmm.
domain is 10% completed,
Hmm.
right? And overall audit is 0.63% completed after
Hmm.
answering that one question.
Hmm.
Right? So we can also see that how we are progressing, and that also we can see.
And this focus unit compliance area, when you say how you organize, like, is it a common uniformity that we follow in all the audits? Like business continuity, we need to include business operation, we need to include facility, we need to include. Are we considering all these factors?
So if you look at these are all standard ISMS expectations.
Hmm.
ISMS has the element of business continuity. We could talk
Hmm.
about redundancy and all.
Hmm.
Fine, and it has a business operations facilities means the physical facility, HR equipment, information security, IT
Okay.
application, desktop network. These are
Okay.
all the standard. If you look at the standard domains.
Okay. So, sir, once we done with this, we prepare the report, right? Or we submit,
Yes.
share
So
the
we
draft with
prepare
our
the
team.
report. Report I have for one more, like in one more style basically. And so
Hmm.
this is a report of a maturity assessment of based on
Hmm.
NAST CSF,
It's a confidential.
cybersecurity framework. So it's a confidential because when you report, even these sheets
No,
need
no,
to be
this
confidential.
report is confidential or
No, no, this is like I removed all the details, fine. So
okay,
it
okay,
generalized it, fine.
okay, okay.
So this is like a sample assessment report where I have removed
Hmm.
all the details, fine. So
Hmm.
you will have the date, fine, who conducted this, fine.
Hmm.
Then again, and first you'll have the confidentiality notice in the report that
Hmm.
this report may fall in the wrong hands, so they should not proceed, they should not store. Then a table of content, right? And before this is how the report will look like. You will write introduction of this document,
Hmm.
and then you will write the objective of the audit, scope of the audit, criteria of the audit,
Okay.
right? So the audit criteria for this is NAST CSF 2.0.
Hmm. Okay.
Then duration from what date time to what date time like this audit was conducted. Fine. You can also include the locations and all. Then
And those who are
audit
watching
team.
this podcast, do let us know in comment box. Shall we pull Rahul sir again for the next audit and next implementation?
Okay, so this is the like who are the auditors,
Hmm.
who are the auditees, and then limitations because audit is sampling based exercise. We provided some kind of disclaimer that this is
Hmm.
sampling based exercise. More positive and negative findings may exist, right? Which may might not have been come out in this exercise.
Hmm.
Then retention, any evidences you collect, fine. Any reports that you audit notes you're making, how long you will retain. So like the company or the client may come back to you maybe in next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, ask for more information. After that, you will remove, you will delete all that data, what you create for this
Okay.
exercise. Then is a executive summary for the management. Fine, I can reduce the zoom level so that you can see. So this is the executive summary. What is the maturity level out of ML4? The maturity level was identified as 3.50, and 3.50 is also coming out of the six domains. It starts with governance, which stands
Hmm.
at 3.67%, 3.54 this way. So again, this is a part of the executive summary itself. Like in the govern function, these are the domains, fine, and so these are the categories, and this is the score of each category.
Okay.
So govern, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And this is the maturity analysis of each of the six domains.
Sir, I was about to discuss this part is how we can categorize an NIST this maturity level. Like, are we talking about based on some metrics we take, or what exactly it is?
Yes. So there are maturity models like C2M2. I think C2,
C2,
yeah, right?
M2.
So,
Okay.
yes. So that was taken in picture here. But
What is
yes,
full form? What is full form?
C2M2, it's a cybersecurity maturity model.
Acha, cybersecurity maturity model. Sherry. Okay. Hmm.
Uh, Fine. Then is again, if you want to have some discussion on the maturity model that we can take up separately, and some of the this is not taken as it is. C2M2 is not taken as it is. It was tweaked based on the requirement.
Understood. And the cybersecurity maturity model framework is freely available to download, or we
Yes,
need to.
yes, yes, yes. You can download.
Okay.
Then is a summary of recommendations. Again, so now till here it was divided in 6 domains of NIST. Then it is divided in 4 domains of people, process, technology, and physical security.
Okay.
Fine. And then because we have to work accordingly. Fine. So technology requires investment, process requires fine tuning, fine. People requires training, fine. And physical security is separate domain altogether.
True.
So the detailed report was created in this way, like this is what the observation is, this is what the recommendation is, fine, what is the severity, and this is the reference in the NIST. So this GVRR, fine, is a governance basically, fine, all is being mapped here, what this GVRR and all this text means. Fine, so GVRR is the roles and responsibilities and authorities in the
Okay.
governance, the governed domain.
Okay.
Fine. So this is like the way this report is being created, and then like further steps. Fine. What do you recommend organization to take this? How to take this forward? And any like those jargons what is used in this. Fine. So there's a terms and definitions section.
Excellent.
This is the end of the report. So this is how we. This is one sample of the report. Fine. One sample of a detailed dashboard, a simple dashboard, a simple worksheet, fine, and a report.
And that's why I say security start with keep it simple.
It depends upon like again the expectation of the client, fine, internal, external. Where internal audit can be more simple, fine. In the internal audit you can probably have published this dashboard as well. Okay, this is the score, fine. But for the external audit, you will, the management and the client will expect a report in a PDF form, fine, not in the Excel sheet.
Agree. And it also depends, like Big Fours basically have more fancy dashboards and all that because they have to present in the format which look lucrative and all that, right?
So you have
Because
to justify the cost basically.
exactly. Have you
Then
have you
comes to the
sir, have you tried this savory stuffed pastry?
I've tried many, but I don't remember the names.
It is called as a savory stuffed
Mhm.
pastry.
Okay. Oh,
Samosa.
okay. Yes.
Understood.
Okay.
So GRC template, how you present that matters.
Yes. So before we release the report, fine, the opening meeting, then we conduct the audit activities, and then we have a closing meeting as well.
Okay.
Fine. So closing meeting is an opportunity to sort out all the differences. Fine. So in the closing meeting, you will give the findings, what you have identified during the audit. Fine. You will present it to the auditees, and so that if they have anything to say about anything, any more justifications, not justification as a justification, you're justifying any negative finding, but if they have any more evidences they can produce, fine. So that's the opportunity. Basically,
Okay.
that's a communication that what is going to be in the report. Because
Hmm.
the report once published, fine, uh, we don't modify the report because report is our opinion.
Hmm.
Fine. So we have to make sure that we form our opinion. We give a fair chance to the auditees, fine, and we communicate with them clearly that what is the outcome of the audit, fine, what we have seen, fine. So if there's any more justification, more evidences they have to provide, they should be able to provide it during the closing meeting. Closing meeting format will also remain same. We'll start with us again objective scope and criteria, auditors, auditees, fine, and what the findings are.
Okay.
Fine. Again, they will say thank you. We are happy that you offered a good lunch, and you hosted us. But that good lunch should not be an impact in your working. Fine. So we don't consider like audit has to be independent. Fine. The auditor's opinion should be unbiased, irrespective of everything. Fine. If your wife is working for the organization, if you were working for the organization earlier, you are not eligible to be auditor for that organization
Agree.
because you have to maintain the independence.
You,
If you're
matlab,
not independent,
it should not be conflict. Yeah,
yeah. So no favoritism, fine, and no grudges, basically. It has
that
to
is
be
true.
unbiased.
That is true. And so, like when it comes to report format, as you've seen shown the report format and all that, how critical is the report formatting? How critical is the language we use in reports?
So language should not be pinpointing to people.
Example?
You cannot say, okay, like this particular guy or this particular team is not working correctly.
Hmm.
Fine. You should write it as a, like, this is a finding for the and finding and observation is for the organization.
Okay.
Fine. In this particular domain, in this particular control. Fine. Don't pinpoint anywhere in the audit exercise. Do not pinpoint any individual, any team, because many times the audit outcome is not seen positively, and
Okay.
then they become the target. This happens basically. Fine. And also, like, I also will share some of the experiences. Fine. Who is engaging you as external auditor, that also matters a lot. If it is a, if that group has an independence within the organization, fine, then you will have a different experience. For example, if there's an internal audit group, they are internal auditors, they're financial auditors, they're process auditors, but they don't understand technology, so they hire you to conduct the technology, the IT audit, basically. Fine. So because they have the independence to report to the top management, there will not be any hiccups during the audit. And the people, but you will see on the floor, the people are all scared. Man, the auditor is coming, auditor is coming. He may should not find something. Fine. But at the other side, we have also seen where we were engaged by the cybersecurity team to conduct a cybersecurity audit.
Agree.
Fine. So anything we report, fine. So it is going against them.
But that's basically the perspective, Uh, uh, you know, I've seen, my objective was to give them visibility, but that backfire me. So after that, other audits what I face, I keep it simple. I just told them, boss, this is something you have to do. This is how it create a value instead of just doing
You
any
have
kind
to
of.
make sure that you do not compromise.
Hmm.
Fine. And you are, because you are not being paid by that team, you are being paid by the organization. That organization requires improvement. That's why they're hiring external auditor.
Agree.
Fine. The organization may not even have that maturity that they are hiring through the wrong route. Fine. So, but we have to
Cost,
help them. We have
cost,
to help them. Fine.
cost.
So, not only cost, like, it's the route is wrong. Basically, the
Uh,
responsibilities are not given to the right people. Because anything you
hmm.
report for the cybersecurity, they will see, okay, this is a gap in our working. Fine. And it should not be seen, because I have worked in operations for a decade. Fine. So even I understand. I made sure that there is no external, like, there is no red flags in any of the external audits. And I always made sure that. And but still, that doesn't mean that my implementation, my operations, my effectiveness, the controls were always perfect. It
Hmm.
was not. It is not possible in any organization.
Okay.
Right. So how I used to do when I'm doing the, when I am managing the internal audits, I used to ask my team to go in detail, to the maximum detail, so that you find everything before the external auditor can find. Right? And you find the team can fix, and so that external auditor is don't find anything what we don't know. And second is, like, so internal audit can be more detailed. Basically, external audit,
Hmm.
you are coming for 3 days, 5 days, fine, and you have limited time, you can have limited samples. But in internal audit, you can have a detailed audit, you can pick up larger sample size, fine, so that you are make you make sure that, yes, I have the sufficient confidence in the system, that external auditor may not will not find the failure of the objective, may find some human errors, but will not find that the failure of a process.
True.
Fine. So that is the how the things changes in the internal audit versus external audit. But yes, operations are never perfect. You'll always have a finding, and improvements are always there. Like, the scope of improvement is always there. But that scope of improvement should be the OFI, opportunity for improvement, not a non-conformity. And
So
this I used to follow.
that is the most important part you said, sir. Like when we're talking about the responses or the the challenges, what we follow, what we see in the companies in terms of reporting and all that, accuracy, governance, experience, that also matter. But
Your relationship also matters.
yeah,
Because
agree.
if you look at, okay, I find something, I will report to the management in a, like, kind of escalation mode. So then, if people will not, you will not be able to build a relationship with the people. My relation has always been that in my organization, before audit, people themselves used to come to me, say, these are my failures. Fine, save us in the audit.
And sir, like, do you think really, like, like when we say in the application development, releasing of, more than development, for us, the more concern is all about releasing of the report. Like if I say development, more than source code, the more concern for us to release the application. UAT is the biggest bottleneck. Seem like when you say
Mhm.
an audit, reporting is the most important part because your entire work and conclusions comes from the reporting.
Yes. So if the management sees something, what they don't believe in how the organization is in the report, for example, in the
Hmm.
maturity scale, if you're putting the maturity scale as, let's say, initial, but the management knows that no, I have a confidence that we are mature enough, fine, at least we are managed,
Hmm.
fine. So either you should have a strong justification, find that how you form this opinion, what are the failures, fine, failure in the sense like not put it as a failures, fine, what are the justifications that you are rating them low,
Agree.
fine. So you should justify, fine, and that justification should be valid, fine, they should read and understand. If they do not see, they will just throw away the report that I don't believe this report, this audit was done correctly.
And
So your each and every word, your language, your formatting, your presentation, everything matters when it comes to final reporting.
and grammatical mistakes, English, how critical do you think?
Definitely.
Hmm. It's
I
like,
don't even take interview of the people if I see like one cannot write a two-page resume. How you write a policy?
okay.
I just like 2 days back I given this feedback to one of my team. You should look at this before aligning an interview.
Hmm. So
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 that
you
will
mean to say that, so coming to the next question only, sir, like, if someone is preparing for GRC interview, IT audits and all that, what kind of a questions normally recruiter ask?
So the recruiter will ask for like how many audits you have conducted, what domains you have conducted audit for, and what
Hmm.
industries you have worked for. And for
Hmm.
example, you have conducted audit for the critical infrastructure domain, or maybe in the IT domain,
Hmm.
in manufacturing, and that type of questions they will ask. And then they will ask your understanding about the audit again, how to conduct the audit, right? And what you will see as a evidence, right?
Hmm.
What is if they may give you scenarios, how do you rate in terms of particular standard, okay, how do you rate this as a maybe non-conformity, conformity,
Hmm.
right? And they will more or less they will try to I see like your knowledge in in the controls, right?
Hmm.
Okay, what do you how do you conduct, what are the things you will see when you're
Hmm.
conducting a audit for the backup process,
Okay.
right? Patch management and capacity management, right? Supplier relationship, and that way they will be asking questions, domain
Okay.
specific
Okay.
and control specific.
So any cheat sheet you have? Two, three questions.
Standard,
God will bless you.
standard.
Okay.
Believe me, standard is not a very big document, fine,
Hmm.
and standard will give the very objective knowledge of conducting audit.
Hmm.
Requirements are given in 27001 if you talk about ISMS, and the guidelines are given in 27002.
Okay.
Fine. If the buying a standard is an issue, then you can download the NIST 853
Hmm.
that is available freely.
Hmm.
Fine. You can download and you can read those controls. That has each and everything what you can look at, fine, what you can ask in the audit.
Understood. And that is how you see the perspective and all that, about the candidate natures in terms of learning and all that, right, sir?
Hmm.
Like because in
I'm
governance.
more focused on ISMS here because, like, I believe this is like info sector and is more into security. But the
Hmm.
same process goes with the business continuity and data privacy as well.
Okay. But thank you, sir. And when you say about this closing perspective and all that about GRC, so I think it's not something, okay, you learn in 6 months and you can apply same for 60 years, right? Like the way we talk about other part of cybersecurity, like offensive and defensive.
And that entire IT industry is not like that.
Hmm.
You have to keep uh, learning the new updates, new developments, what is happening in the industry.
That is great.
So
Sir, thank you so much for, taking out the time for this particular session. I'm really, amazed by the inputs you have shared on some viewpoints. I'm going to divide this entire video into 3 or 4 sections, especially the one which is shown your practical aspects. Then you talk about the perspective about JRC and all that. Do you have any last minute pointer to close this podcast? What is
I
your
will say
message you
first
want to convey to the people? Yeah.
yeah, first have confidence in yourself,
Hmm.
and second, follow the standard. And when you're following a standard, you can easily clear any interview. And
Okay.
because people in this particular domain, people want you to conduct the audits against those standards and frameworks, which is popular
Okay.
in the market.
Hmm.
Right. So you should have the good knowledge of the standards and frameworks. If you are able to prove your knowledge there, you'll have very easy way to pass the interview.
That's a great point, sir. And those who are watching this podcast, do let us know, like, what should be the next podcast with Rahul, sir. Like, we got some hint like NIST, we got some hint on the audit work papers, but I want your inputs in the comment box, which help us to improve this podcast much better. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for taking out the time in a weekend. It's not easy to take out the time in a weekend, especially when you're working on the critical projects. And we're looking forward for more sessions from you, sir.
Yeah, I will be ready, and thank you so much for inviting me again. This is the second podcast we are recording
Yeah.
here,
The first is
and
already successful. I'm sure this is also going to be successful.
so I will try to like give the practical perspective so that people learn, people can find easy to enter into the industry and grow. So we are already the people who are about to retire now, so we need more workforce.
Yeah. Don't get offended, team. Those who are watching this video, that's completely fine. So this is all from our side, team. And if you're new to the channel, do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss the future videos on a similar project, similar podcast. Thank you so much for watching this particular podcast and looking forward for more learning from our side. Thank you so much. Good day.
Thank you
Bye.
so much, everyone. Thank you.